Sometimes it's hard to put yourself back in time, to a different time and place, and remember everything that you were feeling. As a result, it's maybe more um, simple than it should be for somebody to misrepresent what happened. And of course, the lion-hearted people claim that Bartholomew and the Oblak issue was paramount. You know, when the captain of the guard shovels some up on his sword and eats some. Der Seuss, by the way, came from the film Der Seuss, Dr. Seuss, Der Seuss, which is a famous anti-Semitic film. Well, there's a ring around the rosy, which they say refers to the bubonic plague in the matter of the way that this was conceived and directed from on high by the Ouspensky circle, impinging on the persona's experience, as they put it. But none of that has anything to do with what I went through. A lot of us were really scared when AIDS happened. You know, people who were interviewed said, I love to make love, but I don't want to die for it. It wasn't supposed to be made an issue of the character of the person. We were supposed to try to stop that from happening. Except when it came to the duplicity of the aggressor, when it came to me. And of course, they were putting words in my mouth through a neuroplasm I didn't know about and laughing at me as a parrot and saying, speak memory. Be careful what you think, and so on. Martha Gellhorn said I had a great sense of urgency in her recollection of the letter I sent to her. Was subverted by people like Walker Percy, who were snickering about delectations of despair. And they mocked me as urgent, because they triggered a seizure. This is, my other tapes. And it was urgent. I was having seizures. What did they do? They tear gassed me with something, bit me in the neck, and my eyes poured out of my eyelids. They were on my cheeks. It was horrifying. This is the sort of thing they did. They put scabies in my clothes and so forth. They lit the Jackson laboratories on fire. And this was supposed to make it less scary. They called it an experience park, but they were talking about it in the company of the people who had gone on record as using a nerve agent, putting me in a gaseous paint chamber, as they put it, a gas chamber. In other words, they gassed me. This was all in their records, on their paper. Pitt ignored it. And has given them, Jay Inslee gives them occupational follow-up because they say they paid me in sex. That's what King Crimson calls setting up a film with someone he really loved, paying him in sex so they could ripper murder people and lick each chops for the genocide pornography. And they're going to say, well, it isn't genocide pornography. We're just having fun with the situation. With a nerve agent, with a script, with Gail Burstyn appearing on the cover of their records, with a man who was talking about it before AIDS started, with a woman who was in mutagenetics and Satanism before AIDS started, who claims to represent the victims and stood outside the World Trade Center with the open stiletto. I wonder why nobody considers the logic, the chronology. How could they be so in play and have it happening before it started if they were just having fun with the situation? I mean, there's a lot of particulars. There must be someone at Harvard or Yale who cares about the grannies who were just kicked off the earth with the um, geriatricide, the Kirkwood. I said Ansley's name was indexed to innocent slave back when they killed Shannon Harps. And this guy Kilmer, it's like Merkel, Kilmore. You know, Westmoreland was always like Lebensraum. What's wrong with everybody? Don't you have any detectives? Because are you saying that you support this? You support giving children, shooting them and giving them hepatitis and stuff, spreading monkeypox and hysteria and all this. Is that what you're saying? You support this? You still want to, you're just having fun with the situation? Is that what you're saying? And they claim that these people were the victims. Michael Foucault, he was a moral person who was obviously in on it and who just wanted to start his stuff as captain of guard, shovel some up on his sword and eat some so they could say, now you have to stick it in your mouth. What I'm driving at is, there was someone named Levin, Cher Ill Levin, Tony Levin. Um, a lot of us were just really scared. And although W was like crowing, "Oh, you must die to show you're not dishonorable because you've been used by pedophiles and were blackmailing you, an embarrassment to the ship as a run of the letter," and all of this premeditated assessment. Um, I just figured, there's a long shot chance they baited a trap, and if I walk into it, I might get proof of what they did. And it all fell into place. I mean, nobody cared. They did do it. And I'm proud of it. COVID-19 is something they just did, and I'm proud of it. You can see it in the records. They stalked me and gyrated, and it's, you know, came right out. Kill more innocent slave. Kirkwood, he's going to go look at the planet from outer space. You have this place called Kirkland, for homeland, Kirkland Authority. And they were the first people to go. They show outside, you see people, they took a picture of people outside the windows waving goodbye. Bye bye. Good night, like in Uvalde. And this, Encryptor has been around since a long time. King Crimson, Sinfield, and Penis, Gabriel, they used to song in Vespers, with Midori was flaunting her. I just saw in the Bad Sleeps Well, they have a red rose in the Texas Book Depository cake. And they say, oh, there's a big scandal coming, They pinpoint the diplomats and Hague. And, they probably get even. The Japanese are notorious for that. 47 Ronin is a classic of patience to get revenge. Yeah. So it's beyond treason. It's a revenge attack by Hitler's Germany. The fact that Trump turned one leading with his saber to chop off the head of Mike Pence is perfectly typical of the whole thing. It's not even unusual for it. And yet the police sit around, oh, get out of here. And the administrators say, hey, get out of here. They put poison in your mouth and said they're trying to help you. Because we know they hate you, they want to poison you, so we're trying to get them to settle for a lesser poison. Because, the Black Panthers, they're going to help the Green Party and Greg Carl get that way, They're going to have a barbecue, they said. They're just helping the people who did it, and they don't care. I mean, what do they care? The black man will survive. They sent me this letter today. I don't know where it is. It's from a place called Endurance. You know, endure the unendurable. Was something that I said about the revenge attack psychology because it was what Hirohito told the Japanese people. And my coach for the deaf, Richard Rom, he said, that's really intense. I love that. I think you're spot on. He's one of the bravest and only people I know. His house was all surrounded with sirens. He grabbed his chest and fell dead. And the deaf people were going, hey, get out of here. They had just been sitting there taunting me. Oh, Richard Rom's the type who would listen to some idiot like you, they were saying. And then word came over. He just stopped. His house was surrounded with flashing lights, and he fell dead of a heart seizure. They were like, oh, yeah, look at Queerball's going to make a big thing out of that. My letter was delivered to the Kennedys with two more Kennedys killed, and the Kennedys never batted an eyelash. It was like, oh, there goes another one, someone said about the butcher and Bethany kept losing fingers. I said, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the way they think. It's just, um, I guess they're so used to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that you can publicly assassinate two of them for licky chop spoils from the Seattle, Washington crowd. And you're not supposed to mention the Green Party because they checkmate because some of them are black. Moral checkmate, because they have the Trump of blacks. And that means you're making a racist comment. The Green Party is multiracial, it's multicultural, it's an arc. But they put their imprimatur on my father's obituary. I've noted that many times with stuff, names styles about injecting parochial values. And that was the way Zappa angered, oh, market, speak, parrot, make fun of it, so we can see you for what you really are, because the joke's on you, was what Obama put on my Escalade. And the joke's on you, joke's on seriously, the joke's on the people who were scared and tried to find out what was going on. That's what I'm driving at. A lot of people were scared. I mean, it's hard to remember now, but a lot of people like my age in those days were really scared. I was in my 20s. I've been through a lot, and I was just really scared. Martha Gellhorn was the one who was telling the truth. She detected, I believe, really very astute assessment. There was a great sense of urgency about the letter I wrote to her when I lived in Montana. Maybe somebody has it, who knows? That it wasn't urgent, which is what they were mocking me for when they triggered the neurological cyclotron, you know, because they've been, and they've just been poisoning me in the mouth and releasing COVID and calling it building momentum, and you can't get a cop, for the love of your life, you can't get a, yeah, get out of here.